It seemed like all I hear from people these days is these few phrases right here. Race doesn't matter. That's a race based gospel. That's black skin idolatry. Or that's that black Hebrew Israel ism. Look, let me ask y'all a question, right? How come when everybody was painting Jesus white as a European, and not just any old average good-hearted European. No, they was painting him to be just like one of the most wicked Europeans that has ever existed. One of the most wicked. They painted the Messiah to look like him. And there's a lot of wicked people of a lot of different races and backgrounds. But when everybody was painting Jesus as Caesar Borgia, I never heard race don't matter. I never heard that's a race-based gospel. I mean, y'all paint even Egyptians to look like Europeans. And I never hear that from nobody, okay? Ever. Like I got nothing against Europeans. I'm just saying, it just seemed like there's a double standard here in this world that I really don't got a lot of respect for, right? And there is. It don't seem like it. It really is, though. And this mostly come from black people. Is all of a sudden race doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute, who you trying to protect? I know you're not trying to protect Europeans. I know you ain't. You really trying to protect yourself. You trying to protect your own feelings. You trying to protect yourself from facing the embarrassment of realizing that you've gotten it wrong all these years. You trying to protect yourself from finding out that this is true and having to be the outcast in the world. You trying to protect yourself from being one of the only few people you know who know what you know and don't nobody else agree with you. You trying to protect yourself from being excommunicated from some societies. You're trying to protect yourself from being looked at funny in some of the social clubs you're a part of. You're trying to protect yourself from not being put out of ministry. You're trying to protect yourself from being excommunicated from any denominations you might be a part of. Like, that's what you're really doing. You're trying to protect yourself from losing followers, which then turn into losing money, or members, which then turn into losing money. You're trying to protect yourself from losing influence because you know what group of people secretly run a lot of things in this world, and they got a lot more pull than everyday run-of-the-mill white Americans. And I don't really want to say what that is right now. You're trying to protect yourself from being a target. That's what you're doing. You're trying to protect yourself from allowing the foundation of everything you thought was true being shattered and having to let God build you back up the right way. That's why you claim race doesn't matter. That's that black Hebrew Israelism. That's a race-based gospel. Or that's that black skin idolatry. Ain't nobody made an idol out of black skin. It's a lot of people who do, just like they've made an idol out of white skin. But I never heard you saying that. Never. Not once. I mean, we take people that come from Africa. Right? Pharaoh. Every time they made a movie, they painted him white. I never heard you saying that's white skin idolatry. I never heard you say that, ever. But when we can prove that the vast majority of the people in the Bible were dark melanated people from the line of Ham and Shem. Sorry, I mixed that together. Ham. Like, when we can prove that Ham and Shem are the dark races, and Israel was really what you call Negroes, all of a sudden, you always got to hold on to still being the smartest man in the room. And you gotta be the smartest man in the room so bad to where you would deny what make total sense. Just so that way, nobody look at you funny and say, dang, if after everything you taught us all these years, if you telling me that this is true, I might have to go back and check your credibility on everything else you said. That's why a lot of these black pastors don't want to agree or believe this. Like, they don't got to agree. They just don't want to believe it. Right? Because you can believe stuff you don't agree with. Like, I believe a lot of stuff I don't agree with. I mean, just not his word, just not real provable history. Like, it's a lot of stuff I believe I don't agree with. Like, I believe white supremacy is real. I don't agree with it. I believe black idolatry is real. I don't agree with it. I believe race-based salvation is real. I don't agree with it. But it seems like every time we get to this subject, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, how come it mattered when it was everybody else laying claim to being those people of the covenant? Huh? Like, how come it mattered then? But all of a sudden, when we can prove that it's us, now it don't matter. And you want to know the real reason why even you black leaders and stuff like that, most notably in the Christian church, say it don't matter? Because you don't see us as anything. Like, you look in the mirror and you see yourself as nothing. You look at everybody you grew up with and you see everybody you grew up with as nothing. I mean, what make you any more different than these thugs on the street who shoot each other all day long because they see each other as nothing? And we can prove that the people that went up under the curse from the tribes of Israel and Judah was actually us. And it's nah. See, now you're trying to make yourself too important. I don't gotta make anything. All I'm telling you is what's true. I'm not telling you to, I'm not telling you that, you need to go and stand on the top of a hill and say nothing to anybody. I'm not saying that I deserve an award. I'm not saying to produce movies and paint everybody my color or darker. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying none of that. All I'm telling you is that the world been lying to us all this time. And you don't want to believe that because you know you bought into a lot of them. And after all the years you've been a part of the Christian faith, you don't want to sit back and look in the mirror and say, I might have to go all the way back to the drawing board just in case I really am deceived about this, right? I don't take away the fact that you really are saved. I don't take away the fact that you just might enter the kingdom. I don't take none of that away from you. I don't take away the fact that you have the Holy Spirit. I don't take that away. But it's always something up with people that can't see the truth. It's always something up, and that don't always mean they're bad or they're evil or they ain't been saved or just anything like that. But most of the time that is what that is, though. I mean, they might be good law-abiding citizens, still just ain't been saved. They might be good husbands and wives, still just ain't been saved. They might be good mothers and fathers, still just ain't been saved. Right? Most of the time, that's what that means. But let's get on this Black Hebrew Israel ism. This ain't no ism, okay? But I don't take away the fact that I single-handedly seen the devil turn it into an ism. I sat back and I done my research on the Black Hebrew Israelite cults. I have. And even before I even believed this truth, I still believed it. It's like I believe it, but just in case it ain't true, I'm not going to walk in it, right? Like I believed this 7 years ago. I just never knew enough about it to walk in it. So I just ignored it. Still believing it. But just in case it ain't true, I ain't gonna tell nobody else, right? There's one reason I believe it though. Maybe two. Okay, like 7. When I first got saved, and like this was probably around year 1. Like whenever I say first, I mean year 1. This could have been 9 months in. All right. 9 months after receiving the gospel and the Holy Spirit, right? I had a dream about the Messiah. And this is when I thought he was white or olive skinned, which is really, somewhere within the color of my shirt on one of these little green patches, because olives are black or green, or unless you're talking about olive wood, and that's another thing. But when I thought that he was at minimum an Arab, I didn't really care about what color he was. That never mattered to me. In fact, it didn't even cross my mind. And the reason it never really crossed my mind is because when I first met God, I was so terrified at the fact that I really found out that he's really real. He woke me up. Just one random day, I got woke up. I'm just minding my business, just regular old day, and boom, my eyes was popped wide open. The veil was raised or lowered, or it moved out of the way, and I heard him, and he talked to me, and it terrified the mess out of me. From that day forward, I believed this. And I don't mean this like as far as the subject that I've been talking about the whole video, but I believed he was real. I still do. I believe it. I just believed. That's it. I just believe. Like, as far as what color he is, I don't even know how to think about that. All I know is I got woke up to the truth about the living God, and that's all that mattered to me. Really. I opened up my Bible. I started reading the Torah portion of the Bible, really. And it, like, I started reading the blessings and curses of Deuteronomy. And I'm like, this sounds like my people. Why do this remind me of my people? It just resonated with me so well. I felt like he was talking to me. It wasn't like I was reading something of him talking to somebody else. No, it was like he was talking to me. And it ain't even about what I felt like, right? It was just like that, like no matter what it was, a feeling, a thought, like. And then I had to consider how I even got saved. I was just woke up. I was no longer spiritually blind. Just woke up. A lot of people don't come to Christ that way. A whole lot of people don't. Then I also considered the fact that all these years I have been doing what I thought was trying to get right with God. Every time I would try to go back to church and I would try to practice the Christian faith, it just never worked. It never ever worked. And I remember some nights I would cry with tears like, I don't want to be a sinner. I really don't. And this was before I really met the Most High. I remember this day so clearly because I felt like I was stuck wicked. And I did not know how to not be that way. And this was years before. And even years before, I used to hear his voice. But I never really put too much weight on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was before I even received the gospel for real, right? But sometime around when I first got saved, this could have been 9 months. So I'm back to the original story here. I went to bed and I was really angry at God over, things I can't really talk about right now. I was mad. I was peed off. I'm not lying. Like, he know I was mad. Like, it ain't it ain't no sense in lying to y'all when he know that's true. Because a lot of us get mad at God. Who is humble enough to admit that? Who has repented of their anger toward God about some things enough to say, hey, this is what it really was. I was mad at him and I went to bed that way because I thought I got played. I really did. Like, I really did think that. I'm not lying to you. I mean, mind you, I'm just a babe, right? And I was sitting before I was kneeling before his throne in this dream. I would never forget this dream. It was the most frightening dream I ever had. And I looked up and I saw these spirits. I don't know if they were the spirits of men or if they were angels. All I knew were they were spirits. They didn't look like human beings, but they were humanoid, if I could really say anything. And I then looked at the one sitting on the throne, and he was wearing these colors, mostly blue, white, and gold. Like, that's what I saw mostly. And the one sitting on the throne was black. And I'm like, but for whatever reason, that part of the dream didn't matter. Even that didn't really stick out like that. I just thought that that's the way he chose to appear to me. Like, I just thought that that's just like how he chose to show himself to me, to hide his real form or whatever. But why he got to do all that? Like, I don't see the living God having to hide anything. Like, who am I going to tell on him to? Like, who do he owe an explanation to? Like, to have to hide who he is. Like, if he gonna come to me by way of a dream, he ain't gotta, right, like, pretend like he is what he ain't. Like, that's what he gonna do. It's just what he gonna do. Right? And he was black. It wasn't the fact that he was black that really shocked me. It was the fact that I was sitting right there before him. And when I looked in his eyes, I seen this, like, he looked mad, like real mad, but yet he also was compassionate. And I also seen in his eyes that he could see me, everything about me. And that part really freaked me out. I'm like, uh-oh. Like, like if you ever look at somebody and they giving you this look like they just know you full of crap about something, and you trying your best not to give off the fact that they right about how they looking at you. That's kind of how it was. Except he wasn't looking at me like that. It's just that I looked in his eyes and I knew that he knew me in and out. And he said these words. He said, I understand that you don't understand, but I'm the one that's fighting for you. But he was black. It took so many years for me to really start making sense of this. Like, how can you see him face to face, see him as black, and you still don't think nothing of this, right? Over some time, I started noticing a lot of the curses in my life being real. And I'm just like, man, are you really sure that this is some Black Hebrew Israelism deception? Because this seem true. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just seem it's just too ironic. Alright? Like, you know. And then about just recently, like this past summer, he woke me up to who I am to him. I was never again to be the same. It just hit me. All these years I tried not to believe it. Like, I didn't want to believe it. Like, you know, I didn't had so many Hebrew Israelites trying to talk to me. I'm like, oh man, these guys again. I did not need to believe this. I was fine without it. Or at least I thought. I thought I was fine without it. I thought it wasn't necessary. I really did. But just knowing this has helped me understand so much more of Scripture that the Christian church today look past, like the prophets. Have you ever noticed how the Christian church don't read the prophets at all? They don't study the prophets. They don't preach from the prophets at all. Like the Old Testament period, unless it's about Abraham and Sarah, or King David and Goliath, or Jonah and the whale, or just something like that. But just knowing this has really helped me understand them scriptures that everybody think is so irrelevant, because we're not in that time period anymore, right? Truth be told, most of what the prophets are even about are this time period. You just don't know it because you're lacking the one missing piece that will unlock your understanding. It's crazy how I never really thought about 1948 being a false flag Bible prophecy. I never thought about that. I never considered the scriptures concerning him bringing his people back to his land. I never considered what the scriptures actually do say about it, not just the fact that it do mention it, such as how I can read the Gospels over and over again. But all these years and all this time I've read the Gospels, up until now, did I notice it said that I will send out my angels to gather my elect. He was going to send out his angels to gather his elect from the four winds, from the land of their captivity. Like, I might not be saying it word for word, but y'all know what I mean. From the land of their captivity. And take them from one end of the heaven to the other. He was going to send out his angels to bring back his scattered people. His angels. Why did I miss that? When the last time we seen angels bringing his people back to the land? Never, have we? We never have. But just knowing this missing piece has made so much of Scripture open up. It's one thing to know who he is. That's the best part about this. Like, none of this will ever make sense to you anyway, unless you first know who he is. But it's another thing to know who you are to him. A whole nother ball game. It's like, it's the smallest part of it, but he said that he will lead and guide you into all truth. Not just the truth that's good enough for you to be saved by. What part of all truth mean all truth? Hey, I know enough to be saved. It's like, well, God don't want you to just know enough. He said he wants you to know all of it. What part of lead and guide you into all truth mean that? Right? So for those of y'all who say it don't matter, it don't matter, it don't matter, you are basically denying the fact that it is the will of God for you to be led and guided into all truth. You can't say anything that his word talk about don't matter, because if you don't know who his scattered tribes are, you will find yourself breaking you will find yourself going against, if you bless Israel, I will bless you. And if you curse Israel, I will curse you. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. If you don't know who those people are, then you'll find yourself cursing the very people he was talking about. And blessing other people he wasn't talking about, believing that that's what you're doing. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't bless everybody else too. You really should. But it seemed like the Christian church at large, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but like they look down on us and worship the ground everybody else walk on. And here it is, we are the people that the Messiah you claim to love came through. It was our ancestors rejecting the covenant in the first place that made room for you to even be saved. But yet everybody curse us and look down on us and bless everybody else. And we just sit here in a corner and say, well, it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause we just so used to it. It really don't even matter. Like sometimes we can get so used to our trials and tribulations, we don't even really understand the real reason for them. We just take it because that's life to us. It's just life to us, For those of y'all who say it don't matter, you basically saying his word don't matter. Because when his word talk about him gathering back his people who were scattered across the four winds, specifically because of captivity, the Bible say that over and over again. It's say it in different ways, and that's what I mean by it, say it over and over again. But for you to say that, no, the Christian church has now replaced Israel, and you can't really prove who the real Jew, God can prove it. He can prove it to his own people, but he ain't got to prove nothing to you. Well, you're going to need DNA testing to prove that. Well, who's in charge of what the truth is and how those tests turn out? People that don't want us knowing this anyway. So even if we had DNA testing, it's not like the test is going to show up and say you're of the tribe of Judah. No, it's not going to. Don't nobody want us to know this anyway. It's in historical books that people wrote because they took for granted that African slaves would never know how to read anyway. And so they wrote those books for each other. They didn't write them for us to one day find out. Why do you think they didn't want us to learn how to read anyway? You could find them in I'm like, you could find the truth in old maps in colleges. I mean, you can go to libraries and rent old ancient books that talk about who the African slaves really were. You can go to government websites and find documents that they scanned or typed up and printed just for, you know, like just for the sake of staying organized and having a documents available. Like you can go there and figure it out. But yeah, you can't go to the church and find out. It's not like you can go to Hollywood movies and find out. It's not like the president gonna say it. Oh, there was one guy who is just as credible as the president saying it. If Donald Trump was to say this, y'all would believe it. Why? Because it's him. But how come Vladimir Putin is not just as credible of a source as Donald Trump? How come? Oh, why? Because he's Russian? Is that why? And you can't trust them Russians, right? And they think the same thing about us Americans. But if Vladimir Putin say this, he showed the whole world that all the apostles were Negroes, not just dark skinned, Negroes. Mary and Joseph, Negroes. The Messiah, Negro. How come every time I read the Bible, I never paid attention to the fact that they talked about what the Ancient of Days actually looked like as far as his skin color was concerned? He said that there was one that was to look upon like a jasper or sardine stone. And I never thought to investigate what color are those stones. The same skin color, the same color of a Negro. Right? I mean, because like in that same scripture, it talked about how he have a bow around his head or something like that. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know that one word for word. I just know I read it. If you think I'm tripping, then you go read it and see if I'm tripping. So you mean to tell me even the Father is Negroid like in appearance? But just knowing this has unlocked so many scriptures that just skipped my mind, even when I was sitting there reading it word for word, face to face. And it never crossed my mind. Don't you know a lot of people's minds can be blocked from receiving the truth? Even if they were sitting there reading it word for word, they can't get it until they are willing to believe it. And sometimes your willingness to not want to believe it, all because you're thinking about the cost you will have to pay, and that's if there is one, all because you think about how expensive it is to walk in the truth you just received. Just thinking that it don't matter, it will blind your mind to the reality of a lot of deceptions we have out here in this world that's leading a lot of people in the Christian church to the kingdom of the beast. It's kind of sad. It is really sad. I mean, especially these big ministries, the ones that got a whole lot of followers on YouTube and stuff like that, and so many people say that that's such a dynamic man of God, but yet they can't see that they're in support of the synagogue of Satan. I always told people that I believe even the beast will come claiming to be Jesus, like his name. I always said it'd be a really wise thing if his name was Jesus. I don't see why his name wouldn't be that. It would make no sense, like, to want to deceive the whole world and your name be something other than Jesus. Honestly, like, if I was the beast, right? I really do think that's going to happen. I really do. You really want to know Christ, the Messiah, Yahusha, as the scriptures say, not as the movies say, not as the television series say, not as even the early church fathers say. I started doing some investigating, and I even seen a lot of the deception in the things that they written. And I'm like, this whole world is founded on lies. But that's not even the shocking part. The shocking part is the fact that everybody prefer them. Once you know the truth, you can't just go back. If possible, even the very elect will be deceived. And that's if possible. Which means if they got to say if possible, that's going to be one strong deception. But yet it ain't going to be possible for the very elect to be deceived. You want to make sure you one of them. For real. But all I got to say is this. If you think that I'm here to talk about some Black Hebrew Israel ism, this is not an ism. Now there is a form of it that is an ism. That I will say. And there's a reason for that too. I never got to clear that part up, but I did before, and I might do it again, just not today. I think everything else is the ism. I really do. I think what we have all known as Christianity is the ism. I really do. I really do. It's a lot of true things. But 99% truth and 1% falsehood, that could be that one missing piece that will have you unable to see through some of the most deadly deceptions in this world right now. Some of the most deadly. I think everything else is the ism. You need to know who his people are. You really do. Because you want to make sure you're on the right side. And that's on his side, not ours. Because being on his side means you take him as he is. The way he came, the people he came through, he will be that forever. He have the wounds in his hands forever. And if he got the wounds in his hands forever, I'm sure he the same skin color forever. I'm sure he's Negroid like in appearance at least, if not just Negro, forever. Forever. And if you rejecting his original people of the covenant, and he also made the new covenant with those people, so you can't say no, they rejected the covenant. And it wasn't entirely like that, because the old and new covenant was made with those people. If you reject his people, you reject him. because he came through those people. Like, you can't say you don't like black people, but I love Christ. Like, you can't look down on us and then say, I'm a follower of Christ. It might be another Christ. You know, because in the King James Bible, well, in all the scriptures, really, as long as they have the New Covenant portion of it, talk about another Jesus, another gospel, and another spirit. So just, I'm a follower of Jesus. It's like, well, which one? Which one? You always got to ask that question. Which one? I don't always take people's claim to being a follower of Jesus too seriously, because I know what the Bible say. There is another one, another gospel, and another spirit. It is. So before you say this don't matter, well, what you gonna do when you standing right there when he send out his angels to gather his scattered people from the four winds? What you gonna do then? Say, oh no, you're not allowed to do that because this don't matter. What you gonna do when he bring his people back to the land and fulfill prophecy that was written? Oh, no, you don't got to do that anymore. No, because this don't matter. What are you going to do on the day of judgment after you told everybody that even things written of and prophesied about in his word don't matter? What you gonna do then? What are you going to do? Just think about that. Peace.